Hey guys, in this video, we're going to be looking at some of the methods that are provided to us while working with strings. What we'll do is, let's first go ahead and create a new file. I'll click on the strings folder, create a new file. I'm going to call this as strmethods.js. So methods are basically some functionalities that have already been built into the language. Now let us say that I have a string, I'm going to call it as password, and the value of my password is secret123. You would have seen this a lot. While you're working with any kind of a web application, when you're registering into the app, they will expect your password to be between 8 to 128 characters. Now, how are they determining what is the length of your password? So what happens is, there is one property that is provided. Now keep in mind, this is not a method, even though the file name says string methods. There is a property. I'll tell you the difference between a property and a method shortly, but for now, keep in mind there's a property called as length. Now using that, we can determine how many characters are present in a given string. So let me show you how. I can now say password dot length. So this is built into JavaScript. So when I run this file, I'll say node strmethods.js. You can see that it has 9 characters. Now we can use any of our comparison operators with conjunction to the logical operators and see whether it is satisfying the condition or not. Like how we saw in the previous section, I could do something like, is the password length greater than 8? That's one comparison. And is the password length less than 128? So you can see here, you have started to use your comparison operators and logical operators. You're combining and then you're using it. So what do we get? We get statement as true. So if it is true, then I can allow the user to register into the application. In case if it's not, my condition now becomes, my condition now becomes false. And if it's false, you don't allow him to register. So this is how you basically go ahead and use. Now, it's a combination of things, right? You're using the property provided by string. You're using one of the data types. You're working with a variable. You're using some comparison operators. You're using your logical operators. Now, at the end of the day, you combine all these things together. You can consider these to be ingredients for preparing a nice meal. Okay. So what is a property? Property is just basically some kind of a value. It is not a behavior. Properties are values. So what is the value the length property is holding? The total number of characters that are there. But the methods are basically a behavior. Now for this, let's go ahead, create another variable. I'm going to call it as user, and I'll set the user to be, let's say, Ani. I created a variable user whose value is a string Ani. So some of the methods that I can use are, so JavaScript provides us with one of the methods called as the toUpperCase. So that's the first method. There are many provided, but we'll go one by one. So this is the first method. It's called as the toUpperCase. So what it does is, it's going to ensure every single character is written in capital letter or in its own uppercase. Every single character, that is. You need to keep in mind that even though I call the toUpperCase method on my string, it does not change the value of our string. My original string continues to remain the same because primitive data types are immutable. When you call a method, it does not change the original value. This becomes one of the difference between a primitive type and a non-primitive type. Primitive data types are immutable. Okay. So similar to uppercase, if I already have something in all uppercase, I want to bring it down to the lowercase, I could use a method. Let's say I have everything in uppercase. I'll say something like John. I could have had it on my variable, but I'm just doing it directly to show you the method. So I could also have a method called as to lowercase. So it's going to convert all the characters to its lowercase. Let's say we have a string. I'm going to call this as a word, and the value of it is going to be JavaScript. So I have a variable called as word, whose value is JavaScript of data type string. Now I can find certain characters whether it is present in the string or not. For example, now remember, when you call methods, it's basically adding behavior. What is the behavior? In to uppercase, the behavior is it is going ahead and making every character in uppercase. In to lowercase, it's going ahead and making every character to its lowercase. Behaviors, methods are nothing but behaviors that are available. Okay. Now let us say I want to find out if the character A is present and at what index in the word JavaScript. So I could use a method called as, I'll say word is the variable. I'm going to use a method called as the index of. You can see here it is basically in camel case. Camel case is first word is going to be in all small letters and the subsequent word is going to be in capital letter. O is in capital. So I want to see the index of the character A. I remember what I told you previously. Strings are nothing but a array of characters. That means to say strings are held at different indexes and the index start at 0. If I run the file, you can see that it will return 1. There might be 2 A's, but the index of will return the index of that particular character at where it finds the first time. So this is 0, this is 1. So it returns the value 1. It's going to scan from left to right. If I want to scan from right to left, there is another method called as the last index of. I'll say last index of A. So what this is going to be doing, it will start scanning from right to left. It will now tell me 3. So this is 3. This is the third index. This is the first index. What if I ask for something that does not exist? I'll say word.index of, let's say Z. It'll return -1. So -1 is an indication that that particular character was not found. It need not just be a character. It could also be a substring to check whether it is present or not. So for example, I could do something like word.index of. Okay, is there something called a script? The answer is yes. This particular substring starts at the 4th index. Right? It's not going to give you all the indexes where it is found. It'll only going to return the beginning where it is found. So similar to index of, which will tell you whether a particular character or a substring is present in the string, we could also use another method provided. It's called as the includes method. I can say something like word.includes of A. Now the difference between index of and includes is index of returns the index where the character is found, whereas the includes returns a boolean whether it is found or not, if it's present or not. It'll return a boolean true if it's found. Does it includes Z? You can see that it is false. So the difference here, it's going to return a boolean value, true or false.